My dad would be so proud of me right now.
Right. They're not hard to take apart. Every gun comes apart a little bit differently.
And that's why I want you guys to show me, because I'm gun dumb. I mean, I want like the basic training class, and people maybe can see us at home will go, oh, okay, I didn't know that's how you did that.
Well, every gun, if you want to know how to tear your specific gun down, YouTube. Go to YouTube. They have great tutorials on them. These here are real easy. You got 2 pins right here on either side. You slide it back just about a millimeter, and it should. This is a little stiff.
Yeah, they're all a little tricky.
You slide it down, and I just took the darn thing apart out in the car.
Would you like to take mine apart instead?
Charlie really wants his taken apart.
I'm glad he's struggling, because I was struggling earlier just doing that.
Yeah, they're all a little different. Like the Rugers, you can take the pin out of the slide and all that stuff, but you actually have to rack it back, lock it, and then reach down and flip a little
There
lever.
he is. And he's already laughing because he sees guns in here already. Well, there's only 2 or 3 of them in here. How you doing, Mick? Let's get Mick a chair.
Well, at least it's not like the Beretta.
I got the biggest gun right here. There we go.
The old Berettas, you could actually reach up and grab the weapon while it's in someone's hand and pull the slide right off if you've rehearsed
Really?
it probably thousands of times.
Wow.
Dang.
So Charlie, I'm gonna have to work on my gun.
Well, here, let's do mine then. Let's do mine. Mick, we're getting you a chair. Or you want to come over here? Well, no, we're going to get Mick in here. You going to take your pin cap out?
Amanda, what's up?
So,
Okay.
put the girls in the back today. This is like Charlie's Angels and Devils today.
I'm gonna have to pull it back about a millimeter or so to release that thing.
It's on both sides, right?
Yeah, there's one.
So you guys got to show me how to do this. That's the thing, because I have no clue. I mean, the guy I bought it from, he gave me a good tutorial, but that's been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I might have to check your earners, man.
Well, I brought something to clean it with too. I thought maybe I could get a free cleaning here too. I don't know what it's. What is it? It's a 700 something.
This is 709.
709.
So, Charlie,
Come on over here.
Charlie, did you figure it out? All right, well, I don't feel comfortable messing with this without looking at the manual.
Now watch, he'll do it real quick.
Yeah, I put your stuff over there.
Put your guys in the front.
Which one?
We got Mick DeWine joining us now too.
There you go.
There you
Okay,
go.
now how did you do that? Now I want to keep these separated. Now those are
Is
yours.
this sort of like those little nail puzzle things that we get at the dollar store?
Yeah,
where you gotta-
exactly.
Well, I forgot a step. That's what it was. Is once you pull these down,
Yeah.
you slide this back about 1 millimeter, and then you pull your trigger out. Slide.
Yeah, I would never figure that out.
All right,
That's-
Mick, scoot in just a hair.
That's why,
there, so
guys,
you get there you
all
go. Yeah,
all
that's
weapons
all you need.
that you buy new come with the owner's manual.
Yeah,
And I highly recommend to read it.
every word.
So that's mine, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Clean these.
If you don't know how to read, it's
Well,
easy
here
to read it.
I brought the cleaner. This is what Walmart. They had all these like $22 cleaning kits on, and the guy says,
You bought a
the guy
Morris
said,
snake.
the guy says, well, this is what the guy told me at Walmart. He says, I shoot guns all the time. I shoot out on the range, and he knows more than I do. He said, this is all I ever use to clean.
Okay, but did you get some hops to go with that?
This is all he gave me to clean.
No, you gotta
I-
get some hops.
What? Now wait a minute. The only hops I'm thinking about is like Coors Light, exactly, or Bud Light.
Is it hops or hoppies or I don't know? The stuff
I-
smells great. It's
Somebody
like
called me out on it, and I looked it up on their website, and they said they pronounce it hoppies.
yeah, well,
Hoppies, really.
it's like Appalachian cologne. I love
Oh,
that stuff. Like literally, if women would wear that, they'd have like a whole mile of men just following them all over.
Gonna have to
Really?
do this now. Yeah. No. Okay.
Catherine, they got something
That
out
and
that's
bacon.
called,
No, honey.
Bacon.
it's a dry lubricant that they say is
Oh my
fantastic.
gosh.
I don't know
Are
for
you
a fact,
serious?
but it is.
That's a little much.
All right. Well, to finish taking this thing apart, clean, you push that down, allows that to slide out.
Okay. Man, there's a lot of parts to this, Mick. I'm getting a little worried.
You're just field stripping it. Wait till you really tear it apart.
And then that allows this, which is your barrel, to come right on out.
He's got my whole gun tore out. Now I'll never get it back together.
And there's basically all you have to tear it down to clean it. You're going to clean or
Well, here, let's do it. No, wait a minute. Let's do it.
You don't.
This is what Walmart told me to buy.
Well,
Don't tell me that.
That'll teach you to ask Walmart.
The guy says he shoots all the time. He says he has a.
They don't sell ARs anymore. So
This is
how
pistol
much faith
cleaner.
you can put in that.
all that does is clean that barrel. It doesn't. You don't have the pads.
I started to bring my kit, but
Well, the guy, I had one of these kits up that had all that stuff, and he said, I said, so do I need? Is this what I need? You know? He said, no. All you need is this. That's all you need. He said, this I've used. That's all I use. These things are great.
Well, if you look, you see all these.
I'm just telling you what he said.
Well, I
That's all.
understand. See all that grime in there?
Yeah.
That can't get down in there and clean it.
No.
that's just for the barrel, the bore.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have no
So-
oils to put on your slides.
Basically,
Yeah,
what
he-
you got is somebody who doesn't
I'm thinking something
fully appreciate all of the
Yeah.
things we have.
He probably assumed you already had all the other
talk
things at
with
home.
your-
No, I told him. I said, I just bought it. No, I said, I am, like, I've been honest through this whole process. I said, I'm gun dumb. I said, I'm trying to learn about it.
So was he.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently
must have
so
been.
is he. You can,
He must have been.
Have a infatuation
Exactly.
with guns.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that's what he does. He's got a plethora of guns, and he has a infatuation with them. It's like women in shoes. But if you don't know how to completely take it apart and clean it, you're not loving your gun.
Yeah, but Charlie, keep in mind it is Walmart. They probably just brought him over from automotive
No. He
because
No.
they couldn't find the person
He-
working
he
in the
said-
sports section.
he said that he sold.
Sure.
I mean, he's a shooter. That's what he said. He's a shooter. So, well, here, because he did get shot a few times. We shot several guns at
Now, speaking of shooting, Charlie, a lot of people don't know this. You know, bullets are made out of what?
Well, these are aluminum, I think.
That's the
Brass.
outside.
Brass. These are
Lead.
brass. Yeah, brass.
Well, they're normally lead with a metal jacket around it.
But the cartridge, the casing's
Right?
brass.
So
yeah.
if you're ever cleaning your weapon or you're out shooting, do not be doing this, touching your mouth or eating or ingesting, because lead poisoning, buddy, if you ingest
Really?
it, it'll get right in there.
See, did you guys know that? Say that. Well, I
Well,
don't plan on
not
eating.
only
after
not
doing
only
the
should
gun.
you wash your hands, you should also wash your mustache too.
Did you guys say that again? And make sure you tell people out there. Explain that again, because that's something probably people don't even think about, especially people like me that don't know much
Puts you
about
in a
it.
bad situation.
Say it
Yeah,
again.
well, I never thought about it either. I went through firearms training with the state for like 10 years down at Scarlet Oaks. So every year I had to get requalified. And one year the range master looked at us and said, "Hey, before you go to lunch, be sure to go in there and wash your mustache too." And we're like, "What?" And he said, just from firing a weapon, the lead fragments can get up there, just the dust on your mustache. And he said, if you ingest it, it's going to be really bad.
For you overdeveloped ladies, that's you too. Go wash
Oh
the stash.
my goodness.
Well, actually, for women, lead poisoning is far more dangerous for women than it is for men. For men, it just causes brain damage, which normally goes unnoticed. It does. But women, I believe the body mistakes it as calcium and stores it in the bone marrow.
Oh,
So
wow.
years later, if they become pregnant, when the baby calls for calcium, they'll get a big dose of. Yeah, it's really bad for
Wow.
women.
That's
So
why if
heads
you're
up,
pregnant,
ladies.
You can't take the concealed carry class.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
You can do if you're pregnant, you can't take the concealed carry class. You can take the classroom portion.
I don't
You
think you
can't
want a
go
whole
to the
bunch of
range.
pregnant women taking the class anyway, because hormones are a bad time.
No, I did a class in an executive friend of mine's home, and probably it was for 12 people, and the majority of them were doctors and their wives. And his wife was a nurse, worked with him in the office. I didn't know she was pregnant. We did the class, went to the range, come back to do the test, and they asked her, when are you due?
Wow.
Oops.
Pardon me? And he's a doctor.
Yeah, and he didn't know
So,
that. So.
Yeah.
I
That says a
didn't
lot.
talk to him in the open class, but I talked to him later, and he said, "Yeah, that's all right."
What is the biggest mistake you see people make after buying a gun?
Buying one before they've shot it.
I did shoot this one.
So, in your professional opinion, you think everybody should shoot the gun before they buy it? How would they come
You
about
can't
doing
you
that?
can't shoot the gun you're going to buy before you buy it, unless it's a used gun. But you should rent one like it, or if a friend has one, if you see one you like, and that's what you'd like to buy, you should, rent
Yeah,
one.
because you could be very
first.
uncomfortable shooting a gun and you've already purchased it.
Not only that, I hear all the time, I'm going to buy my girlfriend or I'm going to buy my wife a gun for Christmas.
Right?
Okay, and
It's like
I
it's
know.
like he knows me.
I won't
I hear
I
that
won't
constantly.
I won't say which gun shop
No.
in Columbus because I like them, but a friend of mine went to them, and she's 75 years old, about your size, and arthritic hands, and had carpal tunnel surgery, and she went to them. She had a .25 automatic that she inherited. Her late husband had given her, and she couldn't rack it. So I told her she should get a revolver, but she should shoot it first. So she's kind of she's tiny, but she has the attitude that she'd go bear hunting with a switch. And she went
Like
into
my
Vance's
great-grandma.
and told them she wanted the biggest gun they had, and they sold her a .357
Jeez.
without ever shooting it.
So they,
Wow.
they sold her a small
And she
cannon.
came to my class, and I have a .22 that I'll let inexperienced shooters, if they want to qualify, to shoot for the class. I had, oh no, I don't want to shoot that. Give me my gun. And I said, okay, well let me put 38s in it instead of .357s because they're interchangeable. No, I want to shoot what I'm going to carry. And a lot of
She
the
didn't
people in the
knock her
class.
down.
Well, at
were-
least she had one thing
a lot
right.
of the people in the class were family, and this was an outside shooting class.
Which is good.
And
The mattress behind her?
so she was the last one, and it was 40 degrees and windy. So she was shivering and shaking, and she got up. And I usually have everybody shoot at 21 feet. The state of Ohio says to qualify, you have to shoot at 10 feet. So I took her up to 10 feet, and she'd been through how to hold it and this and that. So she took the target, and I stood about 2 inches behind her. And it was a revolver. It was a Ruger LCP.
My goodness.
So I stood behind her because I knew she was going to come back, and I had my hands ready to take the gun. And I just put 2 rounds in it, and she almost dropped it.
Oh, see, that's so
She
scary.
wanted to sue
That is
the
scary
store. Well,
for
you
me.
told them what you wanted.
Wow. Now,
Elaborate on what he said. There are companies around. There's a gun shop down in Cincinnati, just off of 275. I would wholeheartedly agree, 100%. You take whoever you want to buy a gun for.
Yeah, we
down
went there. I
It's
know
Target
exactly.
World.
Yes.
Yep.
And if they have it, you can rent it, go out on their range right then and there. Every person has to find a gun that fits them.
And
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah,
you bring
exactly.
your ID to this place because you have to register.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
and there are.
And it ain't expensive. I think
No.
I took my wife down there.
I think we spent like
her the,
$30.
P111s, and that's one that she found that she liked.
Well, Vance is in Columbus, actually in Obetz, built a new, it's like Disneyland for outdoorsmen and gun. They have an indoor archery range, rifle
and where are they
shotgun
located?
range,
Columbus?
pistol range. In Obetz, actually,
Okay.
off
But
62.
This apply to women. Because
Oh, I
myself
agree.
personally,
I agree.
I'm an FFL, and I have so many people coming up to me, and they want me to go out and try these guns out, check these guns out. And when NC Sports was here in town, my boss actually wanted me to check out a Ruger for him. When I got over there, I didn't like the Ruger. I liked the Springfield. He ended up buying the Springfield, but I told him to go try the 2 guns out. But
Well-
everybody's personal preference. You ask what kind of gun you like. It's either going to be a Glock or whatever their favorite thing is, and they're diehards, and it's whatever gun does the job.
My daughter liked the AR-15 when
That is
she
a
shot.
fun
Yeah.
gun.
I do too.
They're
Well,
fun
one
guns to shoot.
one thing to keep in mind is you had asked what's the one thing, right? And the biggest thing is, I always like to compare things to the most simplest thing, right? And we all know what dogs are like. And if you're fearful of a dog and you start backing up, what's going to happen? The dog's going to bite you, right? So the biggest thing is you have to overcome your fear and you have to become confident with the weapon that you choose, right? You just don't go out and buy something and then carry it around and then wait for the emergency that you have to use it to figure out how the weapon performs.
Marianne's
right?
pointing her finger at me here.
No, I'm
What
serious.
the heck?
You have to practice, and especially it's not just women. I mean, everybody's hand is different. The needs for the tool, for the weapon, are different. Some people may not require safety. Some people may require safety. Some people may want a decock. Some people may not want a decock.
Do what?
What are you practicing?
Wait a
Some
second.
some people.
Forget where you
I
are.
don't
Yeah.
want no decocking going on. I don't even know what that means.
You're already shooting
That's like,
blanks.
what was the other thing you were saying earlier? What was it? Hoppies, right? Hoppy.
Yeah, sorry.
We're talking about
Welcome to
hoppies and
Friday
getting
show.
decocked. And this,
So, just in
our
case
screen
you're-
keeps freezing up, and we do apologize for that, but it's just where we're at. It keeps doing that, and you just got to refresh, guys. And this is all learning experience today, and we'll get through it. I
It's like
appreciate you guys.
it's like a VoIP call with the Philippines where you're like, "Can you just help me fix my?"
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, just in case you're tuning in, this is the Friday Zoo. We've got Charlie Hargrave, and we're going to let everybody introduce themselves, except for Charlie, who's waving an unloaded, dismantled gun.
I'm pointing it up.
Frame of a semi-automatic gun.
Next, we have
Will Wilson.
the birthday girl.
That thing's heavy.
Everybody say happy birthday, of course, Marianne.
Oh, it's
Todd
my turn,
May.
Todd.
And
I'm the zookeeper, Mick DeWine.
he's standing in for Rick today, who's behind the scenes trying to make sure all of the bells and whistles are working in our new halfway up location.
Yep.
It's up, it's down. You guys
It's
can
all
see on our
around.
feed.
Thanks,
It's
Mark.
like the hokey pokey. Now, I tell you what, I put Will on hold for a minute because Will has been trying to clean out my gun, which I appreciate that, with what I was told to give him. But I guess I need to go buy something else.
Absolutely.
Maybe you guys can tell me what to buy there. But show them what you're doing here. What is this thing, first of all?
This is a bore snake, and all this does is clean basically your barrel.
Now,
It's got a little brass impregnation port here to scrub the inside of the barrel, and you just pull it up, pull it through, it cleans it, pull it back out.
Oh, so you don't go all the way through with it?
if the only thing you're cleaning is the barrel, you like your gun. You don't love your gun. You're not an enthusiast. You just like your gun. You need to make love with your gun. Show it some love. Break it all the way down. Clean it right. If you don't, put it in the closet. Please don't touch it. Please don't shoot it. You're dangerous to other people.
Now, you said
Make
this
sure
is-
it's unloaded before you make love to it.
Oh, and he is selling insurance, people. So if you're not sure how to hold your gun correctly, please see Charlie for life insurance.
We'll do the gun training after the
Life insurance,
after
yeah.
the policy takes effect. Exactly, and I'll come and deliver the policy in my hearse for you too.
So
Oh my gosh.
So Charlie, speaking of life insurance and guns and semi-automatics, which was mentioned earlier, did you guys want to touch and help educate people on the whole semi-automatic, because that seems to have become
Is this a semi-auto?
the very it's received a very negative
Absolutely.
Revolver has a chamber
So-
that rotates with the individual bullets. It's
Yeah.
the easiest way I can explain it.
That's like the old
This
Wild
here
Wild
has
West
a-
guns.
Yes.
Yeah, like Matt Dillon and Barney Fife used to have. Right.
Semi-automatic is magazine fed.
yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that this is just a field undressing, right? Of the gun. I mean, didn't you say that?
I said field stripping.
Field stripping. Oh, okay.
First it started with decock.
Now
Now
stripping.
he's talking about stripping.
So, okay.
He
so-
said
Anybody
decock.
who thinks talking
You
guns
said
is not
decom.
sexy, you are wrong.
So, yeah, he's got my barrel. Anyhow,
See what I'm saying?
This is going down
Might want to wear gloves.
very fast.
So now, are you saying then really to clean this right, you should tear it down even more than what it's tore down right now?
No, that's enough to clean it. That's you field strip it to clean it. Typically,
why would you tear it down anymore?
the average person wouldn't because they wouldn't get it back together. Right. But if you,
The man speaks honesty here.
Yes.
I represent that remark. That's
so
okay.
you should have someone more experienced, take it further apart, a gunsmith or somebody who's knowledgeable.
Now,
And
there is no shame in if you break it down and you can't put it back together because, you haven't done it enough. There's no shame in actually taking it to somebody and saying, hey, I dismantled it. I'm trying to learn how to put it together. Could you help me put it together? Don't be a dick and just be like, well, I'm just going to trash
as
it.
in
Where's
Dick's
our
Sporting Goods.
worksheet?
So
Yeah.
take it to somebody and have them help you put it back together. Don't just throw it away. Don't put it in the closet. Don't leave it dismantled. Show it some love. Get it put back together.
Ellen DeGeneres publicly admitted that she likes dicks now because they don't like guns.
But I saw a great picture. You mentioned Ellen DeGeneres on the Facebook feed the other day. Just happened to come through my feed. Might have come from one of you guys. I don't know.
Probably.
But anyhow, here's Ellen DeGeneres and her girlfriend walking through the crowd at this anti-gun rally. And she had
Politically correct. She's
wife, girlfriend. Might have been both. I don't know. Anyhow, she's walking through this anti-gun rally, but she's got 4 security guards around her and two police officers all carrying guns.
Speaking of anti-gun rallies, I really wanted to touch base on that.
Tomorrow.
It blows me away. We have all these groups that are doing these anti-gun
Show me how to do
rallies,
this.
and I understand that we're permitted to protest. However, a parent was sharing with me recently that a school in Kettering was allowing all the students to leave school to participate in an anti-gun rally. So if one looks at federal legislation, 18 U.S.C. 241, it's a beautiful statute where 2 or more people conspire to violate someone's constitutional rights. Not alone do it, just conspire to violate them. It's 10 years in federal prison. So with all these groups and factions that are just so determined to rob Americans of their civil liberties, it just blows me away that no one is being prosecuted.
Thing is, I think that falls along the lines of freedom of speech.
They're trying to
It
marry.
does,
Yeah.
however,
They contradict
the reason 18 USC 241 was put into law, to my knowledge, was back during the Klan days because they had infiltrated schools.
Right.
They had infiltrated
That's funny you're bringing
judges'
that up, 'cause
seats.
I'm actually going through this right now.
Yeah,
in
they
college.
had infiltrated police departments, Woolworths, right?
They basically were like scaring people out of voting and whatnot.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So back then, if you had a certain pigment, they're like, well, you're free, but you need to remain a dishwasher,
Yeah.
right? Like, don't tell me your viewpoints. Don't aspire to become
Right.
a CEO because it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try and rise up and exercise your freedoms, well, now we're going to send the dogs out after you, and we're going to get fire hoses out.
The main
Right.
issue is our people are not coming together. It's like yin and yang. You need guns, but it also needs to be at another level. Like mental health awareness, people need to be checked, honestly.
Well,
Who's
it's
checking them?
That I don't know yet. Like that, I'm just saying. I'm trying to get to that solution. I'm trying to mix both sides here, but you can't just take away people's guns. That's not an option.
You
It's
can't
a free
take
country.
away people's rights to own them without.
No.
due process.
However, that's the thing right there.
Yeah, but there's so many groups though. They want to take away your
Because they
rights
don't
without
understand.
due process,
They don't understand,
and that's very, very
and they
scary.
don't want to understand.
Now, the other thing that's scary when you were talking about the mental health.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, my first wife and I, we went to a marriage counselor, and this was
man.
provided through my Hamilton County IEP program.
Hold on, because I feel this being really good, and we're going to take a bottom of the hour break, and we will be right back, guys.
And also get you doing this after the break. Turn it.
Take a ride on the Jeffersonville airplane. Follow the White Rabbit 106.9 FM,
So
Jeffersonville.
she came in the room and she crossed her legs and she had elf shoes on with the bell. And this was a trained mental health professional.
We're back, WZAA 106.9. Let me get this right, Charlie. We are a high-impact, low-power station.
Yeah, low
I
power,
always
high
say this
impact.
backwards, or I don't say them right at all. But I finally get them right, and I say them backwards.
Margaret Peabody says slingshots are great. I think she's trying to encourage me to do slingshots.
Speaking of slingshots, they got a really neat one out now.
Has a rubber tube in it.
Yeah, it's a rubber tube, and it's a highly accurate.
Now, speaking of slingshots for school safety and some other craziness, let's get back to our mental health professional that we were talking about just before the break.
So she was wearing elf shoes.
Not me.
What? Yeah, I
Not-
don't think the radio
not
listeners
me.
heard that.
Oh, okay, we'll get there then.
So,
For Christmas, I wore an elf. Thanks, Jack Dill.
so your concern was mental health and firearms, and I agree there are a lot of mental health issues in society, and I firmly believe that those come from poor parenting.
Yes.
Right, as well as a host of medications that are
Right,
being
and
shoved
genetics
down
and
people's
blah, blah.
throats in a world of excuses. Because if you don't want to conform to society, I have a diagnosis for you, right?
Yeah.
And in that way, that gives you an excuse to continue your behavior.
Right.
But anyway,
Surely
let's
you're not saying all mental health
No,
is
no.
an environmental
Not-
cause.
not all, but there is a large portion of it,
Okay,
right? So
I agree.
with respect to you saying something needed to be done with mental health, we also have to gauge what mental health professionals will be flagging or
And it's hard to
recommending a
do
person for additional
Because
evaluation,
people are very biased when it comes to certain things, especially
Yes.
their beliefs.
especially in the medical field and the university settings.
Yeah.
There is a huge anti-firearm movement, and I should say anti-American movement.
Okay. And why do you say that? What gives you?
I'm curious.
Just-
as well.
what drives that?
Based on my experience of people that I've seen in various settings, like if you evaluate organizations that post no firearm signs, anything associated with the university, like recently, our 3.5-year-old went to the Cincinnati Zoo, right? So before he went to the zoo, and they have close ties to various universities. So I had asked them, I said, hey, what's your policy on firearms? And they came back and they says, well, we don't have any armed guards, and you can't protect yourself while you're here. I mean, pretty much that's what they were saying. And if we need help, we'll just summon the police department.
Oh.
And I was like, well, that's nice.
Like 20
You
minutes
know,
later when it's too late.
it's not like my wife met State of Ohio mandated training, and she was background checked through the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, and the local sheriff authorized her to carry a
right to
weapon,
carry, yeah.
right? Oh, and the United States Congress authorized her to carry a weapon, and the Ohio legislative body and our Ohio Constitution authorized her to carry a weapon. But the Cincinnati Zoo, they know better.
Understand.
I think so much of the problem with this kind of stuff. I mean, there is definitely a mental health issue.
Oh, yeah.
There is nobody stronger on the Second Amendment than I am. I promise you that. I mean, I would fight and die to protect the Second Amendment because that's the one that supports all the other amendments.
Yep, I agree.
I don't want somebody that has a mental defect because I deal with that on a daily basis to own a gun. Here's the problem, and the delegate from Virginia said it so distinctly, I forget his name, Fritas. We don't trust the government to say who has a mental defect. Who do you trust that's going to say you have a mental defect, you can't have a gun? Because there is too many very good word. I was just going to say something else. But anyway, that would say that. Who has an agenda? I went to a doctor's office, and on his form, which came through the Obama era, is do you have firearms? What does that have to do with anybody?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They actually asked that.
They did.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I
my
didn't
kid's
answer it.
pediatrician started asking that when you go in to take the children in.
I did not answer it. And they mandated
Never heard of that.
The
Yeah, I
receptionist had to ask me this. You didn't answer it. I said it has nothing to do with why I'm here.
Now here it gets.
Then they ask you, are you depressed?
Oh yeah. Well, wait.
It
It gets
goes
even
into
better.
The depression survey.
And the problem is you look at the state of California, right?
I'd rather not.
Actually, California is great. It's just San Diego County is really bad.
I
But
think
anyway,
there's a few other
the
little.
guy answered that question on his medical form, that he had depression. Or had he ever had depression? Yes, everybody does. I mean, nobody's happy-go-lucky all the time.
Right.
He didn't have clinical depression, but he said check yes.
Yeah.
2 days later, SWAT was at his house taking 23 guns out of his house.
Yeah.
Legally owned, never had a problem. He didn't have a problem. But the only reason they'd done that was because he answered that on that questionnaire.
Yep. Now here's the interesting part with with the pediatrician. It wasn't here locally in town. I forget the name of the place. It was down in Eastgate. My son used to go there. Anyway, the software that they put all their stuff in says, do you own firearms and do you have firearms in your home? Those were the two questions. And I told her, I said, well, that kind of falls into the land of Nunya. I said, but I am kind of curious. What does your software say? Do you have yes, no, refuse to answer? And she said, no, it's just yes or no. So if I tell you it's none of your damn business, if they take offense to that, they could be like, oh, yes, he has guns, and yes, they're in the home, and yes, he's depressed, because they can push their political viewpoints into that data entry, and now you're in some database somewhere, which they could end up selling that to someone else. You have no idea where that's going.
It's the Medical Information Bureau database. You're in the insurance business.
Yep.
That's in your disclosures.
Actually, this.
Life insurance, they don't.
Do you have a gun in your house? Do you own guns? Those fall under the depression,
HIPAA.
and that was all pushed under Michelle Obama, who wanted to get guns out of the house. Literally, she wanted to get them out of the hands of anybody mentally unstable, including PTSD people, including vets. She specifically said all of our vets that coming back have PTSD, and not a single one of them should own a firearm. Most of our vets that are out have children, so putting the do you own a firearm? Are there guns in your homes? If I say I don't own a gun, but there's guns in my home, it's because I live with my husband, right? He has guns. Well, that's what it must be, and if I'm depressed, there's guns in the house that I have access to. If my husband's depressed and they're my guns, he has access to my guns. It's a twofold. But it's trying to get them out of the hands of the PTSD. And now everybody's got PTSD.
Well,
Everybody
legislator
does,
had
for
it
one
after
reason
he
or
was
another.
banging 2 shots and he had PTSD for 15 minutes. I mean, it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really, truly is.
Yeah.
The problem is if you have PTSD and your husband doesn't, should he not have the guns? Who's to determine whose constitutional rights are we going to take away? And
Right.
who's to determine that your PTSD is a threat to the public or somebody
Correct.
else? Yeah.
Mick, now you've got some stuff. What you got up there?
I have a card I made up. I don't know if the camera can see it, but everybody here can see it. That's the front of the card.
It'll say it. It'll see it.
And the back of the card says,
Says no guns really on the front.
the back of the card says, I noticed your no guns allowed sign and will respect your wishes by shopping elsewhere. If you amend your policy to the unlicensed possession of a handgun on these premises is prohibited, I'll continue to patronize your business. Criminals won't respect your signs. As a concealed handgun license or permit holder, I've never been convicted of a felony. I've never been convicted of a crime of violence. I've never been convicted of domestic violence. I am not addicted to, nor do I use illegal drugs. I am not under any indictment or a fugitive from justice. I've passed both state and federal background checks. What do you know about your customers, your other customers?
That's
What's really interesting about the no firearms thing? Well, one, in my mind, I cannot believe that someone in an executive position would come to the logical conclusion that a $1.96 vinyl sign is somehow going to protect their employees.
Correct.
That just completely boggles me. But when they first did the whole CCW and sign thing, downtown Cincinnati, I worked down there for 19 years. And there was a group of people that were running around downtown, and they had little firearms, no firearm stickers. They were like 3-inch by 3-inch. They probably had a whole roll of them. And they were going all around downtown Cincinnati putting these stickers on doors. And when I started confronting business owners, they're like, I didn't know there was a sticker on my door. Now, the sad part is, outside of maybe disorderly conduct, there is no crime for someone to do that.
Right, if
and
they
here
ask
they
you
were
to
trying to.
leave and you don't, then it can be criminal trespass.
No, it wasn't
Back
the
then.
owner. It was someone with an anti-American viewpoint who
Oh,
ordered
it's
a
just-
roll of
they
stickers,
just put 'em out
and they're
there.
running all over downtown Cincinnati, putting these stickers
Oh, geez.
everywhere.
You know,
Now-
President Trump came out with something, and I agree with him, but it's also indicative of the problem that we face as Second Amendment in the NRA and the whole thing, is he brought up in a meeting that a person under the age of 21 can't buy a pistol, right?
They shouldn't be allowed to go to war either.
All right.
I
But
agree.
somebody under the age of 21, hence 18, 19, or 20, can buy a rifle.
Yeah.
All right. He says we ought to take a look at that. Maybe raise the age up to 21. All right. The NRA is against that, and there's reasons for it. Just like Free Toss, the delegate from Virginia said, is that we don't trust the other side. Common sense legislation will never happen as long as there's this mistrust between the left and the right. It just won't happen because there's no way. I mean, Trump was being honest and trying to open dialogue, right? No matter where you stand on that particular issue, it won't happen until we bring the delegate or both sides
Yeah.
together.
That's
And
never going to happen.
And it will not, because there's such a mistrust, because if you give either side an inch, they want to take a mile.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, and that's you need to go back and listen to Free Toss's speech, because he spells it out very distinctly. I can't remember what his first name is, but he's a delegate from Virginia, and it's viral on the web now.
Recently,
Yes.
he was a former Marine.
Yes, I believe so.
That's all
former
over.
Marine?
Well, forgive me.
Okay.
He is a Marine. He's no longer active duty.
There is no
Okay.
former
And
military.
I mean, it's one of the best, pro-gun rights. Have you seen it?
No.
It is fantastic.
It's
But he goes
extraordinary.
into why the left or the right don't like the left. And, when you call somebody because you don't agree with them, start calling them names. I delete people on my Facebook. You start throwing names out there just because I don't agree with you.
You can't be an adult about things.
Exactly.
Sorry,
And that's
back to
basically
school.
what he says.
I'm
Because
graduated.
when you call me a Nazi because I believe in the Second Amendment, well, I take extreme offense to it.
Yep.
That's the problem. They try to incite
Everybody's
emotion.
willing back and forth.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
Well, here's the part that. Hold on.
Real quick, people, look. We're not saying all gun owners are crazy. We're not saying they're all left or right. In actuality, to have a concealed carry,
You're not right.
what did you say? You said it in your card. People who have concealed carry are far, in my opinion, legally better than most of your other citizens. I'm going to go ahead and say it. They're better.
Oh, Marianne.
For the simple fact that they've never been convicted of a felon, and they can prove it. They've never.
They have proven it, unless somebody don't report something,
That,
slip through the cracks.
but what are the other standards in order to get your concealed carry?
Here's the
And
instructor
you
right
have
here.
to put that like it's on his. People know this. Listen. In order to get a concealed carry, you've never, not once when you were 5, 15 years old and it was covered up. Never, people. So, you've never been convicted of a felony. You've never been convicted of a crime of violence. You've never been convicted of domestic violence. Domestic violence. Are you kidding me? Illegal drugs.
Marianne's out.
Illegal drugs, people. We live in a heroin and meth world right now.
Whole other discussion about that.
It's everywhere. But if you have concealed carry, you are not. And let's see here. You've never. Oh, that's a good one. You're not under any indictment or a fugitive from justice. Meanwhile, the other people just going about their business, who is shooting up schools, who are bombing things, running planes into things. You have no clue about their background. You have no idea who else is buying a gun from somebody's back closet. These are stand-up people. Why would you not want them shopping in your place as opposed to everybody else?
Well, one thing that is a fact, and it's as a segment of society, concealed carry permit holders are the safest segment demographic in the world. They're safer than law enforcement officers. They're safer than anyone.
You mean peace officers? Because
No,
in the
we're-
state of Ohio, we have the
they're
Ohio
called
Peace
peace
Officers
officers.
Training
Okay.
Academy, not the Ohio Law Enforcement Training Academy.
All right.
Matthew 25, I think it is. Sorry.
States have
Apata.
passed this medical marijuana thing. However, the federal government says because marijuana is still legislated as a Class 1 narcotic,
Yeah.
that if you have a medical card or
You
medical,
shouldn't own a
you
gun.
cannot get a gun. You cannot
Yeah.
pass a background check.
Yeah.
Okay, can you say that just one more time? So, if you're going for your medical marijuana card, people, you're going to kiss your guns goodbye. Just kiss that whole love affair goodbye. You can't have both. According to the federal government, you can only have one.
Which is
They can't be married.
It's going to be a kind of hot. Here's the thing: if you drink and drive, or you drink, should you be able to carry that gun? Absolutely not.
No.
No, if
Should
you're
you?
drinking.
But you can buy that gun, whether you're not. If you go out and you wreck your car, and you get charged with a DUI, you can still buy a gun.
Well, actually, coffee is the largest consumed mind-altering drug on the planet, and everybody's humping that down all day. But the most interesting thing to discuss here, and we had mentioned it earlier. You guys were talking about the left and the right, and even today, guys, we're having a discussion, and this discussion really disturbs me because what we're missing
And the guns are not loaded.
what we're missing here when you have a child who thinks in their mind that it's okay to go in and harm another human being, it doesn't matter if they're going to use a gun. If they have that in their mind, they're going to use a pressure cooker filled with nails. They're going to make an improvised explosive off something they
Yes.
learned on the internet. They're going to use a knife. They're going to use a baseball bat.
Slingshots.
But thankfully,
Gonna use that
nowadays,
table.
our children, for the most part, are so lazy that they don't even want to swing a bat or a chain anymore,
even wanna get
right?
into
Because
this
we've become a finger-pushing society. But we've got all this chatter going on. It's like a big smoke screen. They're like, hey, looky here, looky here, looky here. And we're not addressing the root problem, and the root problem is families.
Yeah.
We got to get families fixed. We got to get these kids fixed.
It's a societal
out-
issue, no doubt. There is no doubt.
Out in Oklahoma, you had a girl who was from a broken family by all psychological, standpoints. She was from a broken family. She hung out with two girls. One girl was also from a broken family. The next girl came from a very loving, church-going, very home family. Very, very different worlds. The two girls who were from broken families couldn't get their hands on a gun, so they went for a knife and killed the very loving girl from the family. Now, they were all friends. They happened to have bad words, got into an argument. The two girls they couldn't find a gun, couldn't get their hands on a gun, so they went for a knife. This shows anybody, literally, they said, so why did you guys stab her? And it was because we couldn't get our hands on a gun. We would have killed her with a gun. And it was like everybody, and again, it's all white females, so, no hate groups, no hate crimes, making it big in the news.
Well, wait. It
But it's just one.
It was a hate crime because Christians are a protected class.
But Christians didn't come out and say it because the family wasn't Catholic. They weren't.
They were active in the religious.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing.
I-
What is
I
a
just
hate
had
crime?
this-
What is a hate crime? If I kill you,
So-
I am killing you for what reason?
Yeah, I know.
Because I do not like you.
I just want to slip that in there because so many times people forget that Christians are a protected class.
They are.
I agree.
But here's
But
the problem.
so
It's
many
still a
times you
societal
see,
issue.
so many times you see where kids are hurting other, and not just kids. Kids are hurting other people in general, other things, because
Because they're less connected to society. They have no connection to individuals.
well, they don't care about consequences.
They-
What consequences are they going to get? They're going to go to juvie and play games.
Well, the guys, the consequences and what you just mentioned. And do you guys remember the song from when we were little? And there might be some people who are not believers listening. It was Careful Little Eyes. No, it was
not that
Careful
one.
Little Eyes, what you see. And when you look, I think it's in Matthew, it says, and I'm paraphrasing since I don't have it in front of me, The eyes are the lamp. If the eyes are good, the whole body's good, right? And if you think about that, like junkies, if you want to get drugs in your body, right, you can stick them in your mouth, you can stick them in your nose, you can shoot them up your veins, right? But the rest of us, we get all of our dope from television, right? We put garbage in our eyes, we put garbage in our ears, and then we wonder why the mind's so messed up, right? People have been injecting this garbage into their soul and their minds for years, and then we wonder how they're so messed up.
All right, listen up. It is time to go to a break. It's about 9 o'clock, and when we
Top
come
of the hour
back,
to ya.
I want to give it over to Mick because Mick is going to tell us about something that's going on in Columbus tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Plus, he also is a concealed carry instructor.
Ooh, we're going to talk more about that.
Well, and we need to find out like how much. How much
How
it
much, when,
is,
and
if
where?
maybe if we can work. Well, we're going to try to maybe work it out to where we can do one up in
Jeffersonville.
Yeah, probably the Jeffersonville station, if possible. And, we'll try to get a class lined up for that. We'll set it up far enough because when we've mentioned that online, we've had several people say they were interested in doing it. Well, matter of fact, are you interested
While we're
in
on
it?
break, you guys
So
can
there's
chime
two.
in
How many
and
you
say
need?
whether or not you'd like to take the class with the WZAA group.
We have more than enough, but I can do more than one class too.
Okay.
And if we had a big class, 10, 15 people, I have friends that are you a certified instructor?
No.
I have friends who are that will help
As
me.
he's asking
I
around.
won't do a class for more than 8 people
Okay.
because with one person, if I'm the only one with eyes, then
That's 10
that's
guns you
too
gotta
many.
have. That's 10 guns, yeah.
I've done for close personal friends. The most I've done was a group of 16 people, and it took 3 hours on the range instead of 2.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense. Rick Hogue, Bill
we will
Spray,
be
Pat
back.
Patterson, thanks again for watching. Guys, if you don't mind, share the show. I really hadn't even had a chance to do that today because of all the chaos earlier. I may try to do that, but we're going to come up. Like I said, we'll shoot it to Mick first for the first 15, 20 minutes of this next segment. We'll be back. Just hit the left button.
106.9 WZAA LP.
All right, we're back. We're talking
back,
about
and we
ankle
are
holsters
talking
for fat guys.
concealed
They don't
carry
work.
clothing.
We're back on. Yeah.
Because I just noticed I brushed up against his. I didn't even notice he had it on. You got to stand up.
Well,
show
actually,
people,
you did
'cause
not
you
get
can't
close
even
enough to
see
brush
it.
up against it, but
Oh, they both are. Look at
Do
this.
I have one?
yeah. Huh?
No, I don't see
I don't know. Hold on.
I don't see his.
In that pocket right there.
We can't see you.
I don't know.
No,
in
we
this
can't see you.
pocket.
Stand back up.
Oh yeah. Yep, there it is.
What?
See, I would have known.
Really?
Yeah.
See that video
Now-
online of the
You have it on?
right here. She had 11 different weapons on her.
Oh yeah.
She come walking up
Nice.
and she just started
I've been showing mine all morning. You can. You're going to show yours.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hot. Now,
Oh yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right now, that would be if it was loaded. That would be
Concealed
considered
carry
hot,
clothes.
right?
I
or
love
not?
those. Haven't seen them? They're new and they're chic.
The red. There's a
like,
red thing on there.
The pants look like yoga pants.
The disclaimer.
They're concealed to carry,
says,
and you cannot tell that like they fit
fire
right in the
with-
small of the back.
the magazine in it.
You can't even tell that they're it's holstered.
Not in this.
It's beautifully made.
Yeah, it could fire. Yeah.
Now,
Now-
Charlie,
now
you,
is-
you know you're driving us crazy over here.
Is-
Probably will too.
Now is that?
Now, after he takes my class,
He won't be like this.
then I'll
Yeah.
be screaming at him. Like right now, I would be going, muzzle!
Yeah.
You pointed it at something.
Me.
It doesn't matter who.
I know. I was
Okay. Now, hey, what I'm trying to ask here, guys. Wait a minute. Let me get this because this is important, real quick. Then you can go right ahead. All right. Right now, okay. I see the red dots. This is what I'm confused on. So, when the red dot, I see the red dot.
Fire. The safety's off. That doesn't, does that
So-
have a safety?
Yeah. Well, yeah. This. So now, that safety's on, right?
Yes.
So.
You know the definition of a safety? It's a mechanical device prone to failure. Now,
Yes.
the definition
No.
in the NRA manual is it's a mechanical device that may fail.
Okay. But
yes.
right now,
because
it,
it
is
may
safe.
fail, that is why you
Always
never
keep it
point
pointed
it.
in a safe direction. Even if you
Yes.
know it's not loaded. I hope nobody's in that room next door.
Well, the unfortunate part, we're inside.
Well, the only safe direction, this is a one-story building, right?
Right.
The only safe direction here is that way.
And Mary Ann told me not to point it that way.
You're on a cement slab here, probably.
I said down.
Yep.
It's
Point
not
it down.
safe
Yeah,
to
he
point it
said the
down.
only-
It's gonna ricochet.
Said the only safe place to point it's up.
Actually,
Now we
speaking
all
of
should be nervous.
speaking of concrete floors, you know, there's a huge misconception that if there's a shooter someplace that you should lay down on the ground. Do not. Hey, this is very important. There's a huge misconception of laying down on the ground. Do not do that because when bullets hit something, they'll flatten out and they will travel whatever path they've struck.
Kind of
So
like a skip and a
ricochet.
rock.
if you're laying on the ground, you've increased your odds of being struck by a bullet hitting the ground.
Training, and you probably had it.
Yeah, you could
I've never
squat.
seen it. You can fire along a drywall wall, they said.
I've never seen drywall, but
it, and it will travel along the wall. Hello there.
I
The
have
higher
seen
the
that happen.
velocity of the round, the more they will do that.
yeah, I saw one leave an office, go through drywall, out drywall, across the hallway, through drywall again, all the way across that room and hit the cable box. I did see that happen.
Did you fire it?
It wasn't me that fired it. That was the shift before me.
We got a Facebook comment here. Sue Ludwig Smith. She was at the hair salon, and 4 old ladies showed they were packing. Laugh out loud.
Good job. What was the name of the
What
salon?
was the name of the hair salon? If you care to mention, let us know. Tommy Tobo Bryant, Bruce Anderson, Brandon Van Meer. We're talking guns here today on the morning
I'm
show.
kind of hoping it's my hair salon.
And I want to turn things over to Mick because Mick has got a lot of important information. He's got he wants to tell everybody a little bit about tomorrow, but also he's a concealed carry guy. And if you're interested in doing a concealed carry, just say, "Hey, I'm interested," or cutting crew in Hillsboro. She said that's where the hair salon is.
Fantastic.
So let us know because we need 8 people, which I'm in.
My husband and I would probably.
There's 3, just 5. So we need at least 3 more people for the first class.
Oh, and a quick plug here. My wife was
7.
terrified to go do her CCW. She had put it off for a year and a half. And then when she finally did it, there was like 9 people in the class, and she was the best shooter out of all.
Fantastic. I would rather have an inexperienced shooter in my class than an experienced shooter. I don't have to unteach them bad habits. And many times, I can teach them to shoot better than I do.
So would you say having an unexperienced shooter is like getting someone who's never been married before? You don't have to teach an old dog new tricks.
That's a good analogy, I guess. Okay. On that note.
Mick, tell us what's going on tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow, the Rally for Our Rights at the State House. It's sponsored by 2 gun rights organizations in Ohio. I believe the Ohio Concealed Carry Association, and I'm not sure of the other one. I should know it, but I apologize. And it's from 1 to 4. There's over 1,000 responsible gun owners that have said they will be there. There may be some other organizations there too, but the State Highway Patrol, they've got the permit for the, rally, and we need all the support we can get. I'll definitely be there. And again, it's at the State House West, West Lawn or something like that, but I'm sure if you go around 1 o'clock, you'll see where to go.
We got a lady that's going to be there, Sue Ludwig Smith. She's going.
Fantastic.
Now,
I'll have this hat on if you can see it.
Now, the reason behind this rally now, and maybe I misheard this, but Kasich has got a bill up that's wanting to take away, like, automatic guns, semi-automatic.
Kasich introduced or announced 6 proposals for bills that he's initiating. One of them, I haven't read them, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I have heard that one of them, and you may know better, one of Kasich's bills that he's introduced is to ban all semi-automatic rifles or handguns in the state of Ohio.
No, define ban, though.
Ban.
Like,
You have one, it's illegal.
So this would be illegal.
That would be illegal. That would be illegal. That would be illegal. My gun would be illegal. AR-15s.
He can show that right up where he brought that from.
Ruger 10-22s. It's a 10-round semi-automatic 22 caliber rifle. Banned. So I don't think there's a snowball's chance in Hades that it will catch any ground or, get any traction. But anyway, yes, I'm a certified NRA instructor for concealed carry classes in Ohio. It's called a basic pistol class, and also for the NRA's personal protection inside the home class. I'm also a certified instructor for the USCCA. There's only 400 certified instructors with the USCCA as opposed to tens of thousands of NRA instructors. My concealed carry class is a combination of the NRA's class and the USCCA's information. And the USCCA's course is called Fundamentals of Personal Protection Inside and Outside the Home. So I'll do multiple classes, and I'm off on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. My class, my concealed carry class, covers both personal protection inside and outside the home, meets all Ohio and exceeds all of Ohio's requirements to apply for your concealed carry license through your local sheriff's department. And, places to shoot safely. I think between Clinton County and Fayette County, I have enough friends, as do most of the people here, we can find a good place to shoot safely.
He's on the show. He's actually invited me to come out.
Is he watching now?
I don't know if he is or not. We got 24 people watching right now.
All right. Well, Jim Sears is a retired Fayette County Sheriff deputy. And, he may have a place to shoot, several other places. This gentleman, says we can find a place to shoot easily. So multiple classes. I don't want to do more than 8 people. If we have one, I'll get another instructor to assist me with the class, and we can do 15
Do I
people.
dare ask, how much is the cost?
No, not at all.
What?
Most of the classes that I do will be in people's homes.
Yeah, but what do you charge?
But I charge $100 for someone who has their own gun and ammo, handgun and ammo.
Right.
If you don't, I'll provide you with a handgun and ammo for an additional $25.
So $100, and even if you don't have a gun or ammo, you get it for $125. Now, with the concealed carry, somebody told me that they went through the class, and they almost felt like now they feel like they're more open to almost more open to lawsuits if they would do something. It's like, and he was bringing up the guy in Texas, the church murders down there, the guy that killed all the people in church. Well, somebody with a concealed carry permit got the guy that was shooting in there, and I guess the guy who actually did the right thing, killing the gunman, I guess he's got like lawsuits out the wazoo.
I haven't heard that can happen and does happen, but
because he was
defending.
I'm sure it was I'm sure it was I don't know, probably the guy that he killed, probably that family, and probably there's these gun rights organizations that are against gun rights.
Absolutely.
That sued him.
Well, everybody unfortunately has the right to sue, and the bad thing is, I know he didn't get charged. The guy that he took the guy down with the same kind of weapon he was using. He used an AR-15. The guy was shooting
Had an AR-15.
he was shooting people with an AR. The guy came out with an AR and got him in between, because he also had a bulletproof vest on.
Right.
He shot him underneath the arm, through, and he died down the road. What needs to happen is legislation to protect people who protect people.
Well, it should be a Good Samaritan Act almost, really.
Ohio has, or I guess they still have.
well, no matter what state you live in, I have good friends who are lawyers that says, and one of them came up and said, if you use a gun for personal protection, you better have a lawyer writing on every round that you fire.
That's ridiculous.
And I agree with it. The USCCA, I'm not doing an advertisement for them. The USCCA is one of the companies out there that sell concealed carry insurance.
So you
Charlie
do
and I
want
touched-
your insurance.
Charlie and I touched Monday on this subject, and then he mentioned it just a few minutes ago. Now, let me get your opinion on this. For instance, I'm going to give you a scenario. You tell me what's wrong with this, okay? I have a gun. It's late at night. Someone's dressed in all black. Doesn't matter the race, because I can't see it. It's dark. I've got glasses, people. They're sneaking around. I've got my gun, and I say, stop, get on the ground, I've got a gun.
You better be on the phone with 911 recording it like he had said earlier.
Okay, well, that put aside, they don't. So I fire a shot over their head.
Never.
Nope.
Why?
Never. Why? It's gonna come down somewhere. Number one, you'd never fire a warning shot.
I'm not saying straight up.
No,
I'm
in any direction.
Yeah.
It's not safe to fire a warning shot, and it's illegal. Okay. Now, yes. Now,
Well,
So
that'd be felonious assault.
You're gonna say
you should.
shoot at their legs
Okay, there's so
instead of over their head.
no. You.
Well, I don't want to.
Okay, I don't either.
I shoot them
You-
so bad.
I don't want to kill anyone either. Does everyone hear that?
Nobody wants to kill.
Nobody wants to
They
kill
wanna-
anyone.
Looks like
Yeah.
we're
Just because
I shoot.
Just because you carry does not mean you want to kill.
That's right.
Put that out
I
there.
carry.
Let me ask you a very simple question. All right, you're already nervous, right? In your scenario.
Yeah.
You got somebody coming at you who's dressed in all black.
Yeah.
Right? What's your hands doing?
like mine, just holding a gun
like
or
that.
shit.
I'd just be
And
holding
you're
still.
nervous.
One
Like,
would
I
be
got
And you're
an
gonna
item
try to
flinch.
shoot a target 4 inches wide. You can't do it.
Okay.
All right? So if you're trying to protect yourself, you want to stop the threat. The threat is what's caused this situation to happen. So you're up to you. When you pull that gun, you better be willing to put that person down. Or don't pull the gun.
You have to be, and to use deadly force, you have to be in fear for your life or serious bodily harm. That's the law in most states.
Yep.
And if you're not, and you only have a split second to decide if you are, you don't
Yeah.
touch your gun.
Because then at that point you're unstable.
which brings me back to the thing I was going to ask you earlier, and I'm full in support of this. As a truck driver, or not truck driver, most anything, I'm an auctioneer as well, all right? In most states, you have to have CE to keep a license. Insurance, you have to do CE to keep your license. Why don't we have CE to keep your concealed carry? And all I'm saying is, everybody who carries a gun should be mandated to go to a range and become proficient with it.
But here's the interesting part with Ohio and concealed carry, right? Concealed carry, for years, it was kind of the unspoken thing. If anybody has a gun, they don't have a badge, lock them up. That was the standing verbal order across the entire state. And if I recall correctly, the whole CCW thing started around Cincinnati. I think there was a private investigator who was getting his chops busted for transporting a firearm or something. Because in the state of Ohio, the laws are really weird about transporting a firearm. Even if you're like armed security and you go to training and you get what's called a firearm bearer's card. Like, say you're working at a college, right? You're at the front of the campus. You get out of the car. You would have to load your weapon, put it in your holster, go in, do your thing, and then you wanted to drive across the campus. And you were out on a public road, you would have to unload your weapon. It was just stupid. So they started the CCW stuff to kind of avoid that. But Ohio is an open carry state.
Yes.
Any Yahoo can just slap a gun on their side and go walking around town. So, well, walking, not driving. But CCW allows some flexibility, right? But when we're talking about the ongoing training for CCW, yeah, I think it's appropriate. However, anybody can just slap a gun on their hip and go walking down the street.
Well, I believe in everybody's freedom. And just because you have the freedom doesn't mean you have to exercise the freedom.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
in this society we live in, what advantage is it for me? Actually, I want you to open carry, because if a bad guy sees you, guess who's going to get shot first?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an open target.
That's debatable.
But it's what the point is
You're
what
saying he's going to get shot first.
Well, if I see him and he's got a gun,
Absolutely.
If I
You're
was
gonna
a bad
take
guy,
that can take you
I
out.
would want to stop the threat.
Yeah.
If I'm at a speedway at the counter paying, I mean, I have excellent situational awareness. My head's on a pivot. But when I'm punching the buttons, and I can't be looking and punching the buttons. So if he walks in and sees my open carry handgun, I'm going to be shot in the back because I'm the threat.
But at the same time, they may see somebody who has that gun and double thinks that.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
then that's what people that open carry
Yeah.
feel.
Yes.
So
But my whole point is this.
I'm too big a
If
target.
I think open carry. Well, I think we're all in that.
There we go.
Not all of us.
Oh my.
But I think as an open carry does more harm for the gun community in itself, because there are so many more people out there who get so nervous and so excitable to see a gun on somebody.
That's only because of the stigma placed by the far right and the anti-gunners. You overcome it by making people feel safe. We'll overcome it by going to the, rally for our rights tomorrow with people with ARs on a sling over their shoulder and open carrying, and we're not doing anything wrong. There's 1,000 people signed up to go, and I'm sure there's some Antifa or Antifa or whatever you want to call them are going to be there also.
I like to call them anti-American. Right.
There you go.
Well, I agree with you. But what I'm trying to look at it things from a realistic
Yes,
point of view. The people that's going to go to that rally, me included, believe in the Second Amendment. We believe in carrying guns. The ones that we have to overcome are the ones that are going to sit in their houses because they don't want to be around people who have guns because they are fearful.
Absolutely, and the spin that the major news networks,
There's another
MSNBC, HA, and the Clinton News Network and others like them, the spin they put on it when they look at all these gun nuts showing up, look, he's got a automatic
I love how they
rifle.
used the wrong gun during their segment one day.
No.
Oh, the NBC did the one. They said, "Look at what this AR-15 does to." Was a shotgun.
watermelon.
No,
Did you
I'm
see the
sorry.
video? It
I'm
was good.
sorry, but if you have anybody who is carrying a gun protecting you, you are not allowed to say people shouldn't own guns.
Well,
Let's get rid of
the
guns.
perfect example of that was last week on the
No,
The Oscars.
sorry. If you are protected, you cannot tell other people they cannot protect themselves or be protected.
But you're
And I'll
going
tell you,
against
I'll tell you
their
why.
freedom.
I'll tell you why I disagree with that.
It's
You're going to become a public fit. You're trying to become a public figure, right?
Well, I
He
don't
is a
want to
public
be.
figure.
Well, you're going. If you're running for
No.
office, right?
You don't want to
You
be. I
have
just
people
saw your whole.
out there. You're a public figure. Now, I don't agree with their rhetoric, but in this day and age, President Reagan got shot. You know, people go after people in the public eye. So even though there may be anti-gun, I think most of it comes from fear because more guns out there, there's more people can shoot
Yes.
me. Right? They deserve to be protected no matter what their rhetoric is. All right. If you are a politician, people who make policy, you deserve respect. I don't care if you have 50 guns around there and you're an anti-gunner. You deserve that protection.
Well, that's why I normally carry when I'm out on the campaign trail. But what's sad, I can't carry my 40 caliber because it's too big and scary. So I normally have to carry my little itty bitty 32
Which
on
is
my
just
belt.
gonna
It's
piss somebody
it's
off.
really tiny, and I've had people come up and they're like, you know something, I'm going to revoke your man card.
That's what Rick said last
Because you're
time.
carrying
That's
that
what Rick
itty
said
bitty
last time about you have a different gun on today than you had last time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick said, he was like, he was going to revoke your
Now,
man card.
now here's something that's really interesting is the stereotypes, and I want to put this out there because the whole school zone, the gun-free zones that we see all over the place, I like to call them shoot-me zones.
Yes.
It's a lot of chatter, and I'm going to explain it this way. We all patronize Walmart, probably even though we don't like to, right? And we go out and we shop all these places, right? Especially around Christmas time. And these places are making money hand over fist at Christmas time. And we'll have our kids there, and we'll have our wife there, and next thing you know, here comes this guy. He pulls up in a big truck, right? And he hops out, and he's got a leather satchel in one hand, and he's got a gun in the other hand, and he walks right in past our family, and we don't pay any mind to him. We're like, don't even think about it. We're not sheltering our kids. Oh, gosh, go hide. There's a guy with a gun, right? Because we're like, well, he's protecting money,
That's only
right? Because he's the Brinks driver. And the Brinks driver, he went to a training class from the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy, private security, for 20 hours. He did 10 hours on Saturday and 10 hours on Sunday, probably down at Scarlet Oaks, right? And the state of Ohio blessed him to be a firearm bearer to carry that weapon, right? He's right next to our kids in this retail establishment. Now, when it comes to the school zone, the state of Ohio said the teacher has to go attend Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy for guess how long? 20 hours. But we can't have them be near our kids. So from a society standpoint, explain to me how we as parents can say, well, that gun can protect pieces of paper, but it can't protect our children.
And let's do that after the break. Hold that thought. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Here's the thing that I would tell you on that, and we can rehash it.
They mix it up a lot, and I can listen to them for longer periods of time.
Extreme Radio.
Community radio.
106.9.
Got what I need.
You don't get to keep the gun before you ask it.
Now, do you take the
American
Bill
Express?
Bradley credit cards? Because I am filthy rich. I own railroads. And
Well, I can't take
hotels.
I can't take the NRA credit cards anymore because
You're live, Charlie.
We're live. We're back. All right. There you go, man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the NRA doesn't have credit cards anymore because some of the banks said nope.
Actually,
Yeah.
it was Bank of America, wasn't it?
yeah,
I think there's 2 or 3.
Interesting.
And some of the airlines, there's something with the airlines.
Yeah,
took
United and
sponsorship
Delta.
away. Which, why would airlines be sponsoring NRA anyhow?
because the pressure. Why they don't sponsor them? They give them members discounts,
Oh, is that
and
what
there's
it is?
5 million NRA members.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
there's more than that now. 'Cause this is- since all this stuff came up with the Parkland shooting, the NRA membership has went up over 10% in the last 2 months.
Fantastic.
People are, even where I work at, people are buying the memberships, even though they don't really do anything else with it, just to
Right.
help support the NRA.
Yeah, I've been an
because
NRA member, not owned a gun before.
Just because they support what the NRA does. They're the largest lobbying group for gun advocates.
Just make you guys feel like I may know something about guns. I had my picture taken with Charlton Heston, by the way. I met Charlton Heston.
Did you ever see his locker?
No.
Gun locker? No. Oh my God. It's a gunman's dream. His door to go into his room had a wall vault safe front end, and it was probably twice the size of his room, or at least the pictures of it. And it had just about any kind of gun you want in there.
That's crazy.
I don't know that you'll find someone who's more behind Trump at this point than me, but every time I've seen our president with a gun in his hand, he's had his finger on the trigger. And I've personally find that offensive. He's a gun guy. He's, the NRA helped get him elected, and when he poses for optics, every time his fingers been on the trigger.
Nothing could be worse than that. Was it a general that they had on CNN or whatever? I'm hoping that he was retired. The one with the AR, he was at the firing range. Did you see the video?
No,
of that
I didn't
one?
see that.
Oh my God, it was horrendous.
What was he doing?
He was trying to demonstrate, I guess, firing AR, and he didn't have the stock against his shoulder, and he's just all over the place with this thing. And I'm like, when's the last time you went through firearms?
Probably in
training?
boot camp.
Actually, an anti-gun. He
Oh,
trying to-
yeah.
He was trying to say these guns should never be out into the public. I know which one you're talking about. There was 2 of them standing there. One of them was a CNN reporter,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
other one was
That's
a
the-
retired general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter
That's why he
looked
was
at it.
retired.
I am convinced that our station manager has had a stroke, and we're going to look
Do we
into
need to
that.
call 911?
No, I think he's had a stroke. This is what we're dealing with on the outcome of that stroke. I think it's really damaged his brain. He's been without
himself on
oxygen for a
social
while.
situations today.
Oh, okay.
Well, that one picture I saw of him educating himself, I don't know about that.
That's called bestiality. And if you guys want more on that, you can call Rich at.
Yeah.
This is a family
Well,
show.
speaking of Facebook and speaking of CCW classes, there's been, we've talked about like a mindset, an agenda, anti-American viewpoints, in my opinion. Like I did YouTube videos for a while, and I know a lot of people who do YouTube videos. If they post anything about a gun, demonetized. You can't make any money off that video.
So
for
we're not going to make any
advertising.
money on this video today.
So, well, hold
if
on.
it goes on
what,
YouTube.
what I'm asking, since you advertise CCW classes, have you had any instances of Facebook deleting your events or flagging your post?
I don't advertise on Facebook, but I've had 4 profiles. I've been locked out of 4 profiles on Facebook for political comments in the last 6 years.
So for
But they for exercising my
First Amendment right.
I've been put in Facebook jail for notifying Facebook of death threats, not to me, but to other terroristic death threats, with people blatantly and obviously making terroristic threats.
That's crazy.
And their posts they're okay with Facebook's community standards, but I post something anti-Muslim, I mean Obama, and I get put in jail.
Now we're all going to be in jail. Now we'll be in jail.
So we're going to get back to the topic
here.
of guns. In your opinion, if somebody was to purchase a gun in the state of Ohio, what is the first step they would need to legally do, and where would they go to do it?
Well, that's a whole
Gun show, yeah, there
very
you go.
simple. Honestly, it's very, very simple. I do them all day, all the time. Is if you found a gun, let's say you were shopping online, you found a gun that you want.
It's pretty. It's pink.
You would go there and you would buy that gun from whatever website it is or whatever individual it is, and then you'd have them send it to me. And then I would take that gun and have you come over to me, and you would fill out a 4473, which is your NICS background. And
That's your
No,
federal
wait a
your
minute.
federal background check.
A NICS is a federal
Yeah,
background check.
NICS.
They don't do that.
Oh yeah.
What's that stand for? NICS, National something?
It used to be called LEAP.
Called a gun registry.
What it is the FBI's background, where they do the federal background. They used to do a local background, but they changed that as of March of 16. So now, if you have a CCW after March of 16, then I don't have to do the background check on you. I have to have your card.
Okay.
But the it's up to the FFL. They can choose.
Yes. And I
They still do
choose
it.
to
Yeah, and just to clarify, you had mentioned an online sale, and he said you would have them send that to me. Now, just to
an
clarify,
FFL.
He's an
just to
FFL.
clarify, they will not send it to your home. You cannot go online and order a weapon and have it sent to your home. It has to go to an authorized dealer, and then they have to do your back.
Hold up.
stand for?
Federal.
Licensing.
Hold up. We're about to touch a gray area. While we're talking about sales, what is a straw sale?
A straw sale is if let's
That's
say,
important.
Let's say that you're
like
a felon. Let's say
Oh man.
you're a felon, right? And you're not legally allowed to buy a firearm. You ask him to go in there and buy that firearm,
Hey,
Which I would say no.
hey.
and he
Buy me-
buys
buy
that
me this gun.
firearm and gives that because once he does his background, he can walk right out of the store and hand it to you.
And that would be a moron because their name is attached to that weapon.
Buy me
But-
a gun, please.
No.
Please.
If
please.
there's any loopholes in this whole thing, right, is that I can buy 100 guns, and then I can walk out the very next day and hand them out to anybody I want to, totally legal. But if you go in there to buy a gun for a felon,
Now, what does that? If you are perceived and convicted of a straw sale, what does that tack on? What? How do you get?
It's a felony.
it's a felony. And
Which
I don't know what the
means what?
actual punishments. I think it's 5 years. Or something. Yeah, it's pretty hard because that's how they try to keep guns out of bad guys' hands.
The gentleman that I take that back. The the thing in Cleveland that bought the gun for the guy that murdered the two Westerville
Yes.
police officers. He bought him the gun.
Yes.
He did a straw purchase, straw sale, and he's going to get 10 years. I don't think that's enough. I think if he should get the death penalty.
My personal opinion is if you do a straw sale for somebody, for every crime that gun that you bought commits that crime, you get the equal punishment.
I agree.
Yeah, it should be because
Yeah.
if we go say you're standing in line at a bank and I go in and I come in screaming, I'm like, give me all your money, right? And I'm in the commission of a felony, and you die and have a heart attack as a result of my felonious actions, I am responsible for your death.
Yes.
And if I'm with you robbing that bank, and you kill someone, I'm guilty too.
It should be like
And I
that,
think that's
but
great,
It's
yes.
not like
It
that,
is like
right?
that.
It is like that.
Yeah, and he will try and use the defense, but
It
Your
is
Honor,
like
I had
that.
an ankle holster and I couldn't get to it.
No. So wait a minute.
You're equally culpable in the state of Ohio.
Sorry,
For a
brother.
straw
That's
sale,
good.
You're equally
Oh, no,
culpable for
that-
what happens.
That is not the case. This guy that he was talking about he's facing 10 years instead of life in prison or the death penalty. That gun that he's talking about killed 2 Westerville police officers.
But he's only getting 10 years.
And he's facing 10
Okay.
years. But if you go in there as a criminal, you two went in there and a bank and a robbery, even if you was the getaway driver, you're equally culpable for that crime and any actions of that crime.
It's like the guy's wife that murdered the 2 police officers in Westerville. And I don't even know if they're looking at it, but I think they should, is my personal opinion. If she contributed to the ambush, then she could be held for the death penalty too.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone over buying the gun. We've not done it feloniously. We've gone in there. We've passed the background. We've bought the gun. So what do we do now? Where did we buy the gun from? If not online, where's the number one place?
To a gun store.
Walmart.
You could go to Walmart and buy it.
But this is where you want to try your gun out first before you buy it.
All right, then I'd say go to Clarksville down in Cincinnati because they got an indoor gun range or any indoor gun range. You know
that rents handguns.
Yep. And
Vance's and
There's a place
Obet's.
in New Vienna you can go to.
Yep. And not to do a plug for Charlie here, but if you're going to Target World, they've had some past incidents on their ranges. If you're going to a public range, make sure you have some pretty good life insurance.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that.
You have no idea who's going to be in the booth next to you.
You don't, really don't.
Well, that's life. I mean,
Yeah, that is life.
Okay, so
He's just like,
Alright,
we're
so
going to
what-
go back to guns. Let's take it a different scenario. My dear aunt, lost long gun lover, passed away. Now, I've been gifted a gun. What steps should I take?
this is yours.
Just
You
full
don't have
out?
to take any steps in Ohio.
Unless, now there are caveats to that. Now, I'm an auctioneer
Because
as
she
well.
didn't have her gun registered. It's something
not
that was been
required in the
passed
state
down.
of Ohio.
What have you.
It is not
So
required.
I just found it in the back of her closet, and now I'm taking it home.
That's fine. That's legal. All right, now, as an auctioneer as well, now, if I auctioned off her stuff, right?
Right.
If I take possession of those firearms, I have to background everybody that buys one. All right? There's so many caveats to these, like as an auctioneer, because now I become a dealer.
Right.
Or if you take it to a dealer to sell to you, you can't even get it back until
Unless
he
you pass.
background.
So if you take your gun to a dealer, information people, you take your gun to a dealer to get it appraised, what have you.
Now, that's not, no.
You can't get it back
You can't.
unless.
No, if you take it to him to dispose of the gun, all right?
Okay.
Now, well, there's
What happens if you change your mind? You can't get it back?
some gray areas on that, and I will not speak to it because I'm not 100% sure. My brother-in-law, who is also a gunsmith, there are some caveats to that, and I don't know all the rules to those.
Okay.
Because I'm not a gunsmith. But typically all you have to do, if you buy a gun from a dealer, it has to be delivered to you by an FFL,
Which means?
Federal Firearms Licensee.
You got to quit using acronyms. Nobody out there knows what they are.
It's a Federal Firearms Licensee, all right? Now, Charlie may have bought this off an individual, and he goes, here you go, and that's totally legal. But if Charlie bought that gun from me because I'm a Federal Firearms Licensee, I'd have to background check it.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in the state of Ohio, if you make a private sale, the other person has to have an Ohio driver's license.
That I'm not sure.
That's-
because
yeah.
There,
Yeah, and
cover yourself at that point.
I won't.
I won't research that.
I won't.
There was a House bill
I
out
do
there
know
I
protecting
don't
that.
know
that.
that it ever got passed, though.
I do know that if you're from Illinois, you cannot buy in any other state because Illinois requires a FOID card, which is almost the same as our card we carry. But in Illinois, you have to have that FOID card before you buy.
That's not just Illinois.
Where's Chicago?
California.
Illinois.
You can't, I won't even sell to people in California for a lot of reasons. One is the ridiculous notion that a color of a gun is a reason to abandon it.
I won't buy or sell a gun from a private individual without them having a concealed carry license. Because then I know they're not a felon. I know they've had background checks.
Already taken care of it.
And I've bought a couple guns from individuals, and I have friends in law enforcement and the judicial system, so I have them. I always give before I buy it. It's not a loophole. You don't have to do any background check, right?
Yeah,
You don't have to do any background checks for a private sale. But there are laws pertaining to it. They must be have an Ohio driver, to be an Ohio citizen or resident of Ohio. And there's some stipulations you get around it, work around it.
Now, this kind of goes without saying. Another way that you might obtain a gun is finding it. Like, literally, I don't know that's ever happened very often, but
Sure, it happens all the time.
you find a gun on the side of the road, parking lot, and by the trash can. Your first step should always be to call that in. Correct.
And it's actually not unheard of, especially since the advent of the Storage Wars TV show.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of those, and believe me, there's guns in those storage lockers that you buy. And you turn it into the police, and generally speaking, and I can't speak for everything, but the ones I've had to deal with, 30 days, they'll hold the gun for 30 days to make sure that it hasn't been used in the commission of a crime, and, those kinds of things.
Teacup.
And then it can be released back to you.
Then that gets back to you.
Teacup, Charlie.
Speaking of finding
That's
guns,
where the magazine goes.
your definition of finding a gun may be different than someone else's definition of finding a gun. So I would
Found a
strongly,
gun in Mom's closet.
yeah. Well, some people find it by busting a window out. So I would like to stress to anyone. No, I'm not. I'm not joking. I would like to stress to anyone, if you enjoy your Second Amendment and you like firearms or you like Glocks or you like Rugers, do not put a sticker on your car that says, I love guns, nothing about the Second Amendment. I'm not trying to infringe on your First Amendment. However, that's just kind of an advertisement for someone who might want to play finders, keepers, losers, weepers. And they really don't care that it's a felony. Now, that's another thing people don't realize in Ohio. If you steal a firearm, even if it's inoperable, if it was originally designed as a firearm in the state of Ohio, it's a felony for every weapon that you steal.
Did you get that? Even if it can be fired. So you go to some guy's house and he's got it mounted up on his wall back in 1910. It was beautiful and worked. It don't work today. Couldn't work today if they rebrassed it all.
If you steal that, you're getting a felony.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, Charlie?
Yeah.
My computer died.
Yep.
I believe we are off. So we are currently just live
Yep.
radio.
Yep. Well, we're about done anyhow. We only got 4 minutes left. So.
4 minutes.
Perfect timing.
Wow.
Wow.
It gets back to the one other question about guns. That I get asked continuously. They ask me what kind of guns should they use for personal protection. If you're inside a house, and I firmly believe this, people go, an AR-15? No. Pistol? No. If I'm wanting protection from my house, somebody coming into my house, a shotgun. And I don't care if it's 410 or 12, and put double up buck in it, because I'm telling you right now, they ain't getting that.
And I am
But
an AT shot.
you know what the number one deterrent to criminals is? It ain't a gun at all.
The sound of racking the slide.
No, it's a dog. People are so, they had a study done about 15 years ago of cat burglars for people who break in. And they said if there's a dog in that house, they bypass it.
I had a friend who sold burglar alarms at home.
So I got 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, here's something real quick about criminal behavior that people don't understand. A criminal elects to make money a different way than you and I do, right? They still have kids to feed, well, some. They still have a wife to take care of. They still have to put a roof over their head. They still have to put food on the table, right? They have to do that on a consistent basis to care for their family. Now, a criminal will not normally perform a crime where there's a danger of being injured because it impacts their ability to provide for their family. So anything that's going to impact their ability to provide, they're going to bypass it. They're going to pick the easiest target. That's why normally women are more victims of crime than men, because it's easier for me to attack you at an ATM machine. At least I perceive so, right? Than someone who may be equal or larger than me.
In order to solve these issues, I firmly believe this, is that you have to get people who can sit down and have a conversation like this that are on both sides of this aisle.
I agree.
All right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and this just happened to me, I've never blocked anybody on my Facebook until last night.
Really?
Until last night. And I've been on there
What
for
was the
years.
conversation?
actually I posted something about
I'm getting
Hillary.
fired up.
About Hillary Clinton, and she came. The person came on there, and she goes, "You must be stupid." All right, that's the first thing. You don't call me names.
Right.
Yep.
Don't disrespect me. So, and I gave her the opportunity to back down away from it because I didn't want her to leave because I'd like dialogue, and she wouldn't. And it was all about her being out of the public eye. Well, first of all, she ain't out of the public eye. It was about her, the investigations that are into her nefarious things that she's done. So that is the first problem we have in this society. We have to back it down. We have to be able to sit down across from each other, whether you agree with me or not, and try to find a consensus. And that's where our politicians have lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And we have, the First Amendment is the right to free speech, and I agree with that. But if you're going to have free speech, you have to own that free speech.
Oh, yeah.
You have to say what is true, not let's just put it out there. Make sure what you're putting out there is true and accurate.
With freedom comes responsibility.
Absolutely.
Right? I have a First Amendment right, but I
everyone.
guarantee you, if I exercise that too much, your fist might contact my teeth. Right?
Your freedoms stop right here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Stops right now.
So I will see you Monday. Charlie and I will be back on Monday.
Hey, Charlie, thank you, sir.
Well, appreciate it. Facebook land, we apologize for the shaky feed today. I wanted to do something really big for our first show. It's a new stadium.
New stadium. Oh, man.
He's thinking big.
New stadium, that's right. With our new digs, and it just, maybe not quite ready yet. That's why we're doing this. Chris Walls, you need to call me. I want to talk to you about your new tattoo.
Yes.
So, for Mary Ann, for
See you guys
Amanda,
Monday.
for Rick, everybody have a great day. Wait a minute, let's get that on there. And we're off the radio. There we go.
106.9 WZAA LP, Jeffersonville.